Hi everyone. So here is Mila from Moonlight Soul and Marisa from Growing the Flow, and we introducing to you Stars and the Cards, episode 17, where we're going to discuss about the new moon in Pisces, the last lunation of this astrological year and beyond. Hello Marisa, nice to see you again.
Hello, you too. So we meet again. We're here.
Right, it feels like yesterday because the time is literally just disappearing in front of our eyes.
It really is. I can't believe that this is episode 17. And as you say that, I'm like, oh, okay, eight energy, this has carries the eight energy, and it feels like this we meet for this new moon in Pisces, which I think is really um again, I know we've had how many new years now? We're coming up on our third new year here this month with the new astrological year, but I really think this March energy is really solidifying this template, that we're moving into this 8 year and just everything that's coming up. There's just an abundance of all of it. And, you and I were just talking off camera about Pisces season and all of the things that are bubbling up to the surface. So,
And all the
yeah.
conjunctions, yeah, it's literally like it's a new moon, so seeding this future potential, and it's Pisces, which is like at the back of the past, and also we have all these conjunctions, closing conjunctions, still few of those, but these new conjunctions, as we just discussed, like literally 2 days before this new moon, we have the Mercury with Neptune. Then a week later, we'll have Sun and Neptune, and then it will be all these planets and everyone with the North Node in Aries season. So things are continuously ending and beginning.
So we should just throw a couple eclipses in there and call it a day. We're good.
Right, yeah. Like that's gonna be the caveat of the month, the eclipse.
Yes, absolutely. I know. I just feel like so much is building and there's just so much energy, and I'm tired, just tired and feeling that. So, a lot of people I've talked to, same, like whether it's just feeling a heaviness or tiredness, but also dreams, right? So Piscean, the dreams, the crazy dreams, the vivid dreams. But definitely this call for rest, get pulling a lot of Four of Swords in readings, and just sort of even some hanged mans were coming up. I was getting this morning for someone. So yeah, definitely this slowing down, and I think going back over, of course, as we would when we wrap up any astrological year. So we're here to dive into it.
Yeah, because next time we meet in will be for the equinox, and I mean it's not so far off. Like we're thinking like, oh yeah, we're still in a Pisces season, but Pisces season will end like 9 days after this new moon. And
Yeah.
literally, as we're recording this, yesterday we had the situation with the with the Facebook and Instagram, and you pulled the Tower card for that day for in your weekly. So that was definitely right on track with that.
Yeah, we it was funny because and actually it's from the deck that we're going to use today, so I'll just tease it because it really is a striking card. But like, so Tuesday in my week ahead spread represents a potential blocker challenge for the week, and we got the Tower. So it was like, hey guys, we're kicking off the first full week of March with the Tower as a block. Well, it all came down, crashing down when Facebook and Instagram came to a grinding halt, right? What are we going to do? And then my friend in Indiana, she sent me an alert that she got on her phone that there was a lightning strike nearby her when it was actually like a very nice, like mild kind of day. And I was like, the lightning, the striking, the everything going down, it was coming up in the most practical way. But it really is symbolic of, things that are no longer stable or secure or really supporting us, that we have this opportunity to look at what's coming up in real life to demonstrate to us. And that a lot of people were talking about how refreshing that pause was, that we didn't have I was trying to post a video for an hour and I thought it was me, and I'm shaking my fists at the universe. Why am I not supposed to post this 5 minute video? I've spent an hour and I'm spinning my wheels thinking that it's like this sign that I shouldn't be doing something. And it was like, nope, it's just down for everybody. So, just bringing up all the things that Tower moments can really shake clear and bring up, these epiphanies and awarenesses that come up through them. So,
And the funniest thing is that if you didn't tell me, I wouldn't even know, because actually yesterday there were no exact aspects taking place astrologically, so I wasn't posting anything. And I went out. So actually, when I came home and I was listening to your message, I was like, oh, did it? I didn't even know, because when I go out, I don't have an internet because I don't have a local SIM card. So I'm just out, you know, enjoying the sunshine. I had no clue. Literally, I would not even know it happened. And because I wasn't online all day, I didn't even get logged out of my account. I was just, okay, let me check. Instagram working, Facebook working, everything's fine. And it literally just brings us back to the conversation we just had shortly before we started recording about, does this actually hold a meaning? You know, how much meaning are we getting in our life out of this thing, you know, scrolling and being continuously on social media and stuff. And I feel now with this new moon in Pisces, there is a definitely opportunity to reevaluate the past cycles, not just the past year astrological cycle, but the past cycles of everything that came before that brought us to this point. Which one of these things holds a meaning? And if it does, what it's going to look like going forward? And if it doesn't, are we going to let it? What are we going to do about it? Because this is just like you said, you know, these are the structures which we depend on, and they are not so steady. So they are slowly showing us that, well, what you're going to do if this is not there? Well, I guess we're just gonna go for a walk and enjoy the sunshine then.
I
To go
love
back
it.
to
Yeah.
basics.
Yeah, back to basics and back to turning within again, like making your own, you know. And I love that. I knew you wouldn't know. That's why I said that to you. I'm like, yeah, you probably won't even know. You probably haven't even been on yet, which is great, you know. But that, I think it also speaks to how different everyone's perspective is, because for some people it was like shut down their whole day because they, you know, are really dependent upon social media, and other people wouldn't even have known, you know, and everything in between. So it's just another demonstration too of how it's all about your perspective, and what's in your reality is how you're perceiving it and how you're experiencing it. And then, you know, it gives us an opportunity to kind of step into how other, you know, others may experience things too, you know, through that lens. So yeah, definitely a lot of symbolism in that on the collective for that tower energy this week.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, we have the eclipses coming up, so I'm sure, and the Uranus Jupiter conjunction next month, so I'm sure there will be plenty more tower moments as we go along to show us that, oh well, does this still hold a meaning? Is this still valuable to you, or what's going on? Because we are in a, as we keep mentioning, pivotal transformational times, and things are shifting. They are changing in front of our eyes, and we just getting some little guidances through these tools that we have available to us. But at the end of the day, how this is going to play out for the individual depends on the individual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so true. And I think that's why we're doing what we do, like using these tools and tapping in to kind of get some insight and guidance into, you know, the energies and what that's creating an environment for. But that doesn't mean that it's set in stone, or that we can't use our own free will choices to sort of set the foundation, set the framework for how we're going to experience the things that are out of our control, you know, and just allow those disruptive things, or those, you know, things that come along, maybe non-preferred things, or however they appear, to serve their purpose, which is to clear, to create space, to you know, it's just, it's coming up over and over again. I've seen in so many people's lives, myself especially, like, you know, just constantly being shown these things. And that was another visual we were talking about. I'm so curious to see what cards come up, because just this visual of things bubbling up to the surface and sort of examining what's come up, you know. And I always think of, like, you know, when someone's fishing and they're really struggling, they're pulling something in, like I got the big one, and it's like a boot, you know, like it's some junk. It's like a hubcap from a car. Like it's like this stuff that comes up, and it's like, oh, you know, what's this boot going to do for me, or this? And it's like all these things coming up to be examined, you know? And so we're in this period of examination, but then pivoting to action when, you know, these eclipses are coming, and it's like a ready or not kind of leaping into that as well. So
Yeah,
we're
because
seeing,
the boot just cleared the space in the ocean. So, you know,
yeah.
you might go like, oh, how is this going to help me to bring this thing out of from the subconscious? Well, it's just clear the space for something better to come in.
Yeah. And it's actually showing me that I was maybe weighed down or, in some way impeded from the big catch because this thing needed to be moved. It needed to come up in order to create that opening. So, a lot of symbolism for sure coming in.
And that's actually the main thing about Pisces. What holds a meaning, like, and what is the meaning of what we perceive in? Because unless we understand the meaning, we're not able to learn the lesson, and we will keep repeating the same thing. So that is really the main message of, like, one of the layers of the Neptune and of the Pisces new moon. It's seeding a deeper meaning going forward by understanding what was the meaning of everything that brought us to this point, because it had to have some meaning, otherwise it wouldn't be happening. So yeah. I really feel that all these lunations, especially since Pluto entered Aquarius, they are becoming very multi-layered, very multidimensional, and we can we can get lost on all these different rabbit holes.
We sure could. We could just keep throwing that rod into the water and pulling up one thing after another. That's for sure.
Right.
Well, let's get our cards out here then to go with our stars. We're going to do our Queen of the Moon Oracle from Stacey DeMarco to just tap into an overarching theme for this new moon in Pisces. And oh, that's so funny. This is the card that I thought we might see. It's on the I just caught my eye. We'll see. And I love that because in that card, she's sort of pushing against change. There's this massive egg coming in with bolts of lightning and birds flying. And it's like, we can't continue to push back, right? Change is coming. I was picturing that one. So we'll see. We'll see what's coming forward for us here. Ooh, I feel that one. Ah, we just got this not that long ago.
Oh, it's a nourishment. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Well, that's coming back around again. This came up not the last lunation, maybe
It was the one before, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is really, again, all these things that are all over here. It's like there's things to find in all of it to look at. Wow, nourishment. That's been a topic. We talked a lot about cleansing and clearing and how we feed ourselves and all the things. And we talked about all those things in Virgo and that lunation. I'm just trying to remember because this card did come forward. So look at all that water coming from there, like just really this flushing out and clearing out and really looking at how we are nourishing ourselves or not, and also looking at those holes in things that come up, because it's funny, I think the moon is like made of Swiss cheese.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The holes in all the things of like where we do need certain things that we haven't been getting to nourish ourselves, whether it's on a physical level or it's just symbolic of energetically didn't even realize we were missing that downtime, that taking that walk. The sun was shining the other day here and it was like really mild. And I sat out on my porch for the first time in months. And I was like reminded of how much this Leo needs the sun and how much I've missed it. And, and it's so nourishing. And it just felt like really, like healing for me. So I'm feeling that part of this message, I think. What are you seeing?
Well, because it's number 7, which is associated with Neptune. And to me, this is exactly what we were just mentioning, like what actually holds a meaning, what has a value for you. Because with all this water, I can feel that in many people, ourselves included, as we just discussed prior to recording, there are a lot of emotions being stirred up. As we know, they've been brought up to the surface, all these things by Virgo full moon. A lot of things became illuminated to us. Illuminated and eliminated, or had the opportunity to be eliminated. But with the Pisces, it's like a flood of emotion, like things are flooding through because it's the last sign of the zodiac. So we have to discern, Virgo, use the discernment of the Virgo, and decide. We need to decide, like, okay, this is the end of this one. what are we taking with us and what are we leaving behind, because we you know, in order to create a space for something new to come in, there is something we will need to give back to source, because it's all the recyclable energy, right? Everything is always going in cycles. So for us to be able to create space for these new things that are going to be more nourishing, perhaps we need to discern other things which we are feeding ourselves, whether physically, energetically, spiritually, whichever, you know, mindfully, are they actually feeding us, nourishing us or not? And if not, what are we releasing? Because I feel that there are so many emotions, and also as you shared yourself, and that was my experience as well, there is so much tiredness, because I feel that our higher self is working so much while we are asleep, you know, the subconscious mind. And then when we wake up, then is all these aha moment, one after the other, and we might even think like, where did this come from, you know, like where did this come from? Because we are doing so much work in our sleep, you know, when we are, I mean, Mars is just about to move into Pisces on the 22nd later on this month, so it will be even more so. So I really feel that this card actually, even though it is not the card of change, because I really feel that we are on a pause button right now before
Mhm.
the equinox, you know, like everything is in Pisces, is the wrapping up of the old. And this is how I feel that until this point, even though we had some big lunations already, things are just about to start, like
Yeah.
properly start to properly move forward, because we are still wrapping up the last astrological year. So I really feel that now is really the time, just nourish yourself, you know, take the time you need to feel the feels, discern what to do next, where we go, surrender to the flow of water, right? And then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I agree. Like, I don't necessarily feel that this lunation is ushering in the change. This is this pause or this reflection, even in the absence of light, you know, this opportunity for us to look at everything that's coming up. And the seven is giving me seven being the chariot in the tarot, and all the little breadcrumbs of what you just said. My coined phrases about the chariot is readying ourselves for the
Mm.
journey and preparing. And so, what do we do before any big trip? We want to make sure that our vehicle is in tip top shape, right? That we have enough gas, that the tires are rotated, the oil is changed. So, I feel like this is an opportunity for us to look at how we are nourishing ourselves or not. So that, and this is in all areas. So, mind, body, spirit. Yes, the Virgo full moon had us looking at the physical and coming into the body and self-care, and there's a lot of like cleansing and purging and, you know, elimination and all those things too, in a very, you know, 3D way, right? Or actual way, but also energetically. And so this menu, this spread of all these different things that are pictured here, it's like being able to discern and pick and choose from those things that really will help to put you in the best position for this journey, right? And so I feel that, like the way that you just said that pinged for me about the chariot and the vehicle, and really, you know, definitely yes, the physical body, but also just energetically, if we're tired, if you need to rest, you know. And also yeah, our higher self and all these things happening when we're sleeping. The challenge for me anyway is the logical approach that we try to put on that. Like we were just talking about crazy dreams and, you know, all these random things that happen in the dream. And it's like certain things, there's symbolism. I know a little bit about dream symbolism. You can say, oh, okay, I'm flying or I'm in the water and that represents this or that. But then there's like these random people or details, and we might kind of get hung up on it when actually it's much more fluid. It's much more
Mhm.
symbolic. It's not so rigid. And so the challenge being like to learn this new way of receiving all of the multidimensional aspects and processing them in a way that's different than the way that we're used to processing things, I feel too.
And you know, it's interesting you mentioned chariot, because of course the opposition to chariot is tower, you know, the 16. And I know when I did my tarot course, my teacher always said that, well, be careful how fast you go, because you might just crash into the tower, you know, if you go too fast and we're not, you know, quite ready for it yet, or, you know, just go faster than we can support the process of this transition, I guess, then we might just find ourselves in tower. And now I'm just literally looking at the card and like, isn't she like standing in front of the egg? Like, didn't you say, like, in a change card was an egg, and she's also like, it's literally to me like she's like embracing this, like giving, it's like it literally is like, when you just ready to pop a baby, so she's ready to pop an egg. So it literally is the time just before the birth, just before the new cycle begins. She's giving the thanks. She's, like, to me, it's kind of like she's doing like some kind of gratitude ceremony. Like in the old days when people would bring fruit to gods and stuff and like give the gratitude. So for the new cycle to bring more of the same. So this is what I feel like, even though it says nourishment, I'm still tapping into kind of like a discernment in a sense. We discern about what is nourishing us and what isn't, because there is this egg that is going to pop at some point.
Yeah, I'll just show you the difference because it's interesting. I feel like it's the difference between, we talked about this last time, allowing, right? Allowing is an action that I take, that I choose. It's my choice to allow, it's my choice to resist. And I feel like it's showing us the two different ways that we can receive this energy, because this big egg is not going anywhere. It's arriving. It's here. It's right. So how am I going to receive it? And this, of course, does feel that the chaos and the confusion and the resistance that feels just tight, whereas this does feel much more open and flowing, and as you say, even like receiving gratefully, open to receive and allowing. And I think that's so important because it brings us back to that flexibility. Like if I stay really rigid and if I could push hard enough, somehow I can stop this giant egg. Like, that's not the recommended way to go. You can go that way if you want, but it's not recommended. So I like this energy for us to tap into here as we ready ourselves to move into the next season, which too, whether it's harvest or spring, whether we're talking about where you are in the world, whether it's spring or autumn, whether we're having a rebirth or we're harvesting, there's still this energy of opening ourselves up and allowing with gratitude to receive. So
it's so funny because when you put the two cards next together, it was literally like the chariot and the tower. The change is the tower, ready or not, it's coming.
And it's got lightning. It's actually for the thunder moon, and it's card 35, which is an 8 energy as well. So yeah, I mean, it's tumultuous. There's the stormy energy. It's electrified. It's all these things. But I always say about her, that red, you're safe, root chakra, come into, get grounded, come into the knowingness that yes, it's chaotic out there, but we have this, if we can nourish ourselves and allow for ourselves to receive what we need, then we're in the best position to weather that storm or to experience this energy as we can be, and then allowing, and again, faith does come into it as far as trusting. These are all buzzwords that came up for us over every episode that we've done, at least since Pluto and Aquarius. Like all of these things coming up, these words have been coming in to sort of lay out this perhaps preferred route. We can change it. We can just like when you're planning a route in the car and you say like, oh, I want the one with like no tolls, or I want the fastest route, or I want the most scenic route. You can choose, and so this one might be recommended, the recommended route to take. So let's get our tarot cards up here, huh? See what comes up, because we have a gorgeous deck to share.
Oh, that's my favorite deck in the world.
I know. I want you to have this deck. This is the Tarot of the Cosmic Seed by Lelania Simone. And this is the newer version of her original deck. It's gorgeous, you'll see. And Mila actually brought it to my attention that it is being released more mass produced. So just a little note, because most people see this deck and fall in love. So just so you know.
Yeah, it will be available on Amazon.com from November 1st.
Yeah.
You can find it there. You can pre-order. For us here, for me here in Mexico is irrelevant because I won't be here in November, but for the mere Europeans, we'll have to wait a bit longer for Amazon UK to catch up.
Yeah, we'll have to see when it comes out, because I want you to have this deck. I do. I just can't part with mine. She's like, well, you could send me your old one. That's fine. I was like, but then I wouldn't have it.
You have the autograph. The
It
first
is. It's
edition.
signed. Yeah. So let's
Let's
see
see.
what's coming up. Best guidance for us here as we weather, as we move into. All right. First card coming up. Ooh, what do we have?
What is it? I can't read it.
It is the world.
Oh, wow. Yeah, well, for
So
sure. World with the Pisces. Makes sense.
21, we're coming to the end of a cycle, right? It's all culminating. The chapter is ending from this astrological year, from the current season. Yeah, definitely feeling that.
That is very applicable.
Yes. So that's a major card coming in. And then our middle card is going to be, ooh, is that the Hermit? I gotta put my glasses on.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my God, another major. And Hermit
Oh,
is the Virgo, is the opposition.
and it's
The
9, which is
Pisces.
almost to completion, right? And go, wow, so much symbolism there. One more here for the tarot spread. Let's see.
Let's see if it's another major.
Yeah. No,
Oh, no,
this one came up this week too. 3 of Cups.
yeah.
I love that actually. Okay. I haven't worked with this deck since last year, and I want to take this in. That's beautiful. So the world we have coming in here, and so it's so interesting because it's got a little bit of like as within, so without. You know, the Hermit is going within and turning to our inner light and that inner stillness and wisdom. The world is, you know, engaging with everything out there and experiencing just the culmination of all, that they both feel simultaneously. We're holding this energy of, like we were saying, going within, and like the stores of, like, you know, nourishing ourselves and taking care of ourselves to experience all that's happening in the world and how we're moving about in the world, and at the same time needing community and tribe and connection with others. And so, you know, kind of, I'm doing a little story here, but the 3 of Cups, you know, bringing us into celebration and connection with tribe. And also what I was saying about this card, this is also on the deck. Because I have 2 decks, you know, I showed you guys the Tower. What I noticed here, because this is the card that came up for Thursday, which represents how we are growing. If you can see the faint eye here too, like the third eye that I see above the Tower, we see it here as well. And so there's this connection between things that are falling away, things that are no longer sustaining, nourishing, fulfilling, you know, areas where we're needing to extract and release things. And then we have it sort of pointing to the energy of connection with others and coming together. And I always think about the 3 of Cups like sitting at a table, and I've said before, like, you know, if you're sitting somewhere that no longer resonates, or you don't want to consume what's being served, that's not your cup of tea, you know, as they have these teacups on their head, and they're all different, everybody having their own cups of tea and their own preferences. And, you know, again, bringing us into discernment about what we're nourishing ourselves with and how we're surrounding ourselves. And so I kind of feel, and also, you know, this is a 21-3 energy, this is the 3 of Cups, and in the middle we have the 9. So, you know, just kind of showing this, I feel like a balancing of a lot of these internal, external energies.
Wow, you know, I have so much downloads to share.
I always know when
But
you have that face that you do. So I was like,
because I'm like, I don't know where to start. Like, okay, Spirit, thank you. First of all, the thing behind the girls is a tower. I mean, it's a skyscraper, but you literally don't have just eye, you have an actual tower. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm for whatever reason told to start from the end. So we need to create these connections that we seek in based on who we are and what we seek in. while the tower is still standing, because it's not going to be standing forever. So this is very metaphorical about the system and the world we find ourselves with. And this is where I feel, you know, with the 7, what we started with, the nourishment, yes, like now looking at your life, you have the opportunity to give thanks for everything that happened before, good or bad, because it brought you to this point, it made you who you are. And now with the world, you know, and of course, you know, with the nourishment, we need to discern, like, okay, what do you want to keep attracting into your life going forward, to maybe nourish yourself in a different way, something that is actually more nourishing. And with the world, I know that, well, the way I was being taught, it actually represents Saturn, is the self-mastery, because it's the last card of the tarot, the last major arcana. But the number 3 represents Jupiter, and this is the year 8, which is the Jupiter and Saturn essence. So we have the self-mastery and the growth. So I really feel that, yes, the 7, yeah, the cycles, you know, the Neptune, we have the last lunation of this previous cycle and all the cycles before that. You know, you are who you are, you know, like, okay, we might not be perfect, get it all figured out, but you know yourself well enough to, you know, be the CEO of your life. You know, you have the experience, you have the agency. And then with the Hermit, you know, about, you need to know your inner world, you know, because also, interestingly enough, Mercury is in a, just as we discussed, this new moon in Pisces is conjunct Neptune as the ruler in a new phase, and also Mercury. And Mercury and Neptune are just having a conjunction now on Friday, 2 days before the new moon. So Mercury is in a new phase conjunction with Neptune and the new moon, but it's already in Aries, because Mercury actually changes sign a day before the new moon in Pisces, which means that now we need to go ahead with this clear mind, this new way of thinking and identify reality. And we're not going to find it by copy pasting the old program. We're only going to find it through this discernment, through this hermit, through this inner process. And you know, it's interesting that we have in the world card the world, and also in the hermit card there is a world. I mean, it could be a moon, but either way, something big and round that we are looking from our cave, which we had to withdraw into. And yeah, and then we have the 3 of Cups, which is saying that, well, these are the people waiting for you out there. So do you know who you are, your people? Because we need to connect with what matters while the system, the tower, is still holding up, because it's not going to be there forever.
Wow. Yeah. And I'm looking at this, and this is a lighthouse even. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
really sending out the light, the beacon, you know, and calling in that. And I think that's so, yeah, just knowing that we started just in conversation about the tower and the energy of, you know, the way, the primary way that most of us tend to connect these days is through these systems. And then having seen just a little taste of that going down, and thinking like, well, how do I connect with my community, and who is in my community, and how, you know, all of those things, just sort of upon this reflection and this quiet, this moment that we were gifted to really contemplate, you know, I do really feel this with the different cups of tea and connecting with people, and you know, establishing that strong base, that strong foundation, again, nourishing ourselves to move into what is next, whatever the conditions are, you know, knowing that you're in a position to experience it from a state of gratitude and openness and readiness and willingness to receive and flow with what's coming through, using that lighthouse as your guide, like being clear on what I am looking to and what's leading me, and it's coming from within, and it's reflected outside because I'm calling in that to reflect. I mean, we started this year with that expectation equals magnetization, you know, magnetizing in what resonates for us and what, you know, lights our path and shows us the way forward. And yeah, these are definitely some really powerful cards.
Yeah, I mean, 2 of the 3 are major arcana. And also, what came to me is that, you know, we could look at the situation that took place yesterday, which I completely missed out on. We could look at both ways. We could look at it as a warning, like, thank you for the pre-warning, and we could look at it as an inconvenience and complain about it, like, oh my God, you can't believe I lost this 1 hour of my work and all my whatever. But it's like, you know, as we were saying, we have the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction next month. We're going to have all the planets conjunct in North Node. North Node also from traditional astrology carries this energy of unpredictability. You know, it could be anything. So I feel that once we get into the feisty and fiery Aries season with the eclipses, right, of the butt, anything can take place. So this is just like, okay, how many eggs did we put in a basket that actually are maybe not nourishing? You know, so I know that for me, you know, being digital nomad and not really having a home and a community, I know how vulnerable this makes me feel. Like, you know, like all my friends, all the people I care about are actually not in my physical proximity, which I feel again represents a question for people like, who am I surrounded myself with? Are actually people in my neighborhood, in my country, in my whatever? Are they the people that are nourishing me? And there is no right and wrong, but it's about in case that we, you know, might be stuck in where we are exactly, with the not ability to move out of there for a certain period of time. Again, not making any prediction because I honestly don't know what's going to happen. But this is an opportunity with all these red flags, these pre-warnings, is like what we keep saying, choose wisely, just beware. You know, if you get if this is where you're going to be with these people, are these the people and is this the environment that is nourishing you or not? You decide. And this is where I feel the Three of Cups is so important, because let your heart to help you to decide, you know, because the cups is the emotions. Let your heart to help you to decide, not just think with your brain like, I need to stay in this city because this is where I'm going to get paid more money. Yeah, but if the whole thing shut down, do you have the right people around you or not? So let your heart to guide you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think with that feeling too, you know, and I resonated with this card when it came up for this week, in that I was recently like introduced to some new groups and sort of like networking and encountering different people from different walks of life, different business, you know, platforms that they're coming from, some more traditional, and me being like, oh, well, I read tarot, you know, and sometimes I come to the table and I'm in my head with this and assuming that some people might not get that, or that, you know, whatever. And the point being that because they all have different teacups on their head, I actually feel like, you know, there could be some places where we're sort of selling ourselves short when it comes to connecting with people that we may not expect to connect with, or there being like a benefit in connecting with people that all bring variety to the table. You know, a lot of times we naturally want to gravitate toward what is same or familiar, and there's a lot to be said for that, because never do I feel better than when I'm with someone who gets it, you know, that I can talk to with ease, that is very challenging, you know, and yet I learn the most from trying to sometimes, you know, connect with or communicate with people who maybe I don't understand where they're coming from, or they don't understand where I'm coming from. But then we walk away from that encounter or that conversation understanding each other a little better, or maybe like help to shift a little something in perception, which again is all happening up in here. So I think too, like, you know, on one hand, yes, the world card can even talk about world travel, or, you know, going within the hermit and asking these tough questions like, well, is this really a place that, you know, is nourishing me, or that I feel, you know, maybe from a practical standpoint. But understandably, you know, clock's ticking for everybody to pack their bags and move somewhere else if they decide that, you know, that doesn't work for them, that, you know, maybe even within where you are and in your current circumstances, there's hidden things available to you, maybe not even hidden, in plain sight, but we just haven't seen them because maybe we have been in this state of, you know, one way of being and seeing things, that we're being invited to sort of expand, like even just having to step a little bit out of that cave and seeing that big world out there and recognizing that we have something to contribute to it. And, you know, maybe that lighthouse is speaking to sort of helping to guide us in a direction that will ultimately be very supportive and fulfilling for us.
Yeah, and what you described with regards to the, you know, like it's always easier to speak to people who come from the same walk of life or point of view. but we never learn as much. We just have confirmation of what we already know. But if we speak to people from opposing point of view and stuff, we usually learn something that's literally the square. In astrology, what most people feel like, oh, squares, they're so challenging, but that's how we grow, right? We grow through these squares. And this is literally what we need to resolve in the world to establish the peace and harmony. So when the two, because like and that's the thing, with the Neptune and Pisces, I mean, it can be very confusing, of course, and disillusional, and we can lie to ourselves or be lied to. However, the high frequency and vibration of Pisces is the source, is the oneness, is the unity consciousness. And that's what I called my new moon in Pisces video, astrological seeding of the unity consciousness, because what you describe is exactly that. Because on a soul level, of course, we all one, and we come from the same place, return back to the same place. But also, being a human, we have much more that unites than separates us. What separates us are just the thoughts and opinions, but on a biological level, we are all wired the same way. We all have the same essential needs, like sleep, eat, drink water, all these kind of things. Like, we're not very different, like how much people dedicate their life to personal hygiene or feeding themselves, that's up to them. But the need is there, it's biologically wired in all of us the same way. Like, when, it doesn't matter which part of the world you're born, which religion, when the baby pops out of the wound, it will have the same needs. I can guarantee you that. It doesn't matter what is the skin color, religion, rich, poor, royalty, or beggar, doesn't matter. The baby comes out of the womb, it will have the same needs as the baby next to it. So this is where I really feel that things are much simpler than we think, but they're actually much more complex on the multidimensional level. And it really is that if we want to create this world, the hypothetical, new earth, this golden age that we all dreaming about, how are we going to speak to the neighbor we don't agree with, or like who's got a different opinion, and have the ability to see the divine in that person, even though, yes, not everything is acceptable, and we don't have to be abused or whatever. But this is the challenge. This is the challenge we will have to resolve on an individual and collective level. And and we can just start with talking to groups of people that maybe come from a different walks of life and believe in different things, and go like, well, this is what I do, how about you? What do you do? And what is your intention? Because most of the time people have similar intention. Yeah, I want to do good in the world, I want to help people, I want to heal people, I want to make them happy, whatever, I want to be helpful, I want to be useful. So the intention usually is very similar. How we go around it, that's our personal authentic expression. So I feel this is literally the challenge that needs to be resolved in the upcoming times for us to be able to get to the state of balance.
Absolutely. And I think that, yes, it is complex and there's so many nuances, as you say, but maybe, just maybe, it could be just a start with over a cup of tea, literally just having that conversation, in these ways of connecting with what's right outside our door, what's right in front of us, and I feel like there's an invitation here for us to start to, especially like that's what this is. We're seeding. We're just sort of, you're putting out the lighthouse, and allowing it to again draw in and bring to you, and yes, all of that, but also there is a little bit of a need on our part to take some action there as well. And that's where this world is coming in, saying, don't get so comfy in that cave. I mean, we know we love our caves. And I was just way out of my comfort zone last weekend because I was traveling in a very busy place, and like, there's a place where I'm glad I did it, for the experience, and recognizing that I was able to show myself that I can do it, even if it's something that's not my first choice. But it does open up the opportunity to experiences and perspectives that we don't always get to see when we are in just in a comfort zone, or in a place, that the world is here. And I feel like it's showing us that there's this opportunity for connection, community, co-creation, all that three energy that we see in both of these cards. So I do think that there's this, that's a big part of the message too, is really taking some steps to connect with others and know that, you know, there's stuff to learn in that, and also that you may be able to seed something in someone else, not to underestimate the power of planting that seed.
Yeah, because it's literally, I know somebody shared this once, and I don't remember who it was, and I don't remember exactly how the story goes, but they asked a small child, like, you know, what is one and one? And he said, one and one makes three. And they said, no, it makes two. And he said, no, one and one makes three. And they say, you don't understand. The kid said, you don't understand. One and one makes three. And like, of course, because that's what's seeding the new energy, because one and one makes the third energy, right? It's like, you know, in astrology, when you put the two charts together, you create the composite. It's a third chart, it's its own entity. So in our scientific logical brain, 1+1 = 2, but actually no, one and one makes three. So that's
Yeah.
why I feel, you know, it's also no coincidence that is associated with Jupiter, because it expands. Like, yeah, biology, you know, man and a woman or whatever makes baby, whatever. But it's actually, you know, when two people get together, they, like, you know, like for example for us, you know, we get through much more messages when we work together, co-create, because more of it, like it's two and two create something completely bigger, right? It's like it
Mhm.
expands. And this is, you know, like, yes, the lone wolf, the one person, like Dolores Cannon in her days, because she was the pioneer, right? She was one of the ones that seeded this energy, but she was on her own. She was being laughed at. She had to have that perseverance, the word that was coming up for both of us. She had to have that. But now we're not alone. Now we are in a time where we are harvesting this energy, is ready, you know, is ready for pickup. And that's why one and one makes three. Who are your people? Because together you're gonna make more of the same energy. So that's like, you know, it's just a different way of looking at it. Get together with your people and make this connection while the tower is still standing. Doesn't mean they have to, like, you know, like I keep saying to you, I don't want to collaborate just with astrologers. I don't want to live in a village full of astrologers. Like, I want to live with people with different walks of life, different skills, different tools, different trades. And also, you know, when I go to an astrologer who, unless he's, you know, like has green fingers and stuff, to go, hey, how do we grow food? They're gonna, ooh, let me look in the skies. And I'm like, okay, well, do you know anything about agriculture? Because I don't, you know. So that's what I mean, you know. And people say like, oh, well, I'm just this and this, whatever is the occupation. No, there is not just, you know, everybody's needed, you know, everybody's needed. There is no just, everybody's equally needed. So, you know, that people that say, well, I'm not a healer, well, you are, because maybe you are a chef, or maybe you grow food, or maybe you create clothes, or maybe you create pictures that make people happy, or music, or whatever, you know. So one and one makes three. There
I
we
love
go.
that. I love that. And yeah, we all have something to bring to the table. It just keeps coming back to those three teacups on their head, because it's literally like everybody has their own cups of tea. And it's true, you know, maybe not everybody is for us and we're not for everyone, surely, but how we find that out is through having those experiences and those encounters. And it doesn't matter what came out of that encounter, we walk away with something that we didn't have before, right?
Right, lesson.
We walk away, we run away, whatever, however we get away. We now have an awareness, at least tools or something that is to be gleaned from those experiences. And this is something that you said to me earlier about, you know, extracting from the past or extracting from our experiences, and taking with us. I always say, you know, take the best and leave the rest, you
Yeah.
know, extracting from that the gold, the goodies, the what, you know, whatever came from it that I can then take with me, you know. So yeah, I feel that.
Well, that's what I said to you, that the high
Yeah,
priestess shared with me in my dream. The high
yeah.
priestess came to my dream and said million things which I don't remember, but the one thing she was drilling in my head to remember and write down as soon as I wake up was exactly that. Learn from the past and let it go, you know, like if
Mhm.
needed, you know, like learn from it and let it go, because everyone we encounter in our life is our teacher. We're all here to teach one another in one way or another. Yeah, but this is not what I want. Thank you very much. Here's the boundary, and this is how I need to put it up. Or thank you very much. This really helped, you know.
Mhm.
And this is literally like what this is why we here. It's a school of life. Why else would we come? To learn
Yeah.
and to help.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more when we get into eclipses, but I just know that, you know, when I was dipping into the March energy and sharing in my empowerment pack, that there was a slant towards relationships and the
Oh yeah.
idea that, you know, relationships were going to be highlighted. So that's making me think of that, just sort of that energy coming in where we look at our relationships with others, our relationships with all of these different aspects, with stepping out of our comfort zone, with connecting with people that are different, all the different things. But I as you were saying that, I was feeling that too, like just the highlight of relationships coming up on the radar for us to be
And
focusing on.
and I can tell you exactly why that is, because of course Venus was the ruler of the North Node until summer 2023, and now is the ruler of the South Node, the ruler of Libra. And the Taurus is about you, your relationship towards yourself, and the Libra is about the other, because one mirrors the other. You know, it's always the mirror in effect. How you value yourself is how other people going to value or treat you. It doesn't go from outside in, it goes from inside out. But the important thing I wanted to mention with regards to the eclipses, apart from the fact that, of course, the first eclipse will be the one in Libra, the full moon, lunar eclipse, is that Venus, as the ruler of the South Node, will have a conjunction with the North Node in Aries right after the solar eclipse in Aries. Right after, it's on the 8th, and Venus conjuncts the North Node on the 17th. And also, Venus will also have a conjunction with South Node one more time, whilst she's still the ruler of the South Node, also in eclipse season. Because, you know, these nodes, they are the navigational system from the universe. They are the push, you know, they are they call it the karma, you know, when like when we have this analogy about you are behind the driver's seats of your life, but then the higher self sometimes say, okay, now you go in a passenger seat, now let me take over. And the nodes, the eclipses, they are that, because that's why our ancestors feared the eclipses, because they knew whatever is going to go down is out of our control. That's literally about the surrender. So Venus playing such a pivotal role, and as we speak, we actually have a Mars making a sextile to Chiron last week. There are all these aspects happening between the rule of the South and the North Node and other planets, because of course the two had a conjunction with Pluto, then they had a conjunction with one another. In February, this all took place. And then Venus, you know, was making, you know, these aspects to Jupiter, square to Jupiter, square to Chiron, you know, sextile to Chiron, square to Jupiter, square to Uranus, sextile to North Node, sextile to Chiron. Now Mars is doing the same thing. And what these represents are the last quarter square and the last sextile before the conjunction, because as I just mentioned, Venus will conjunct the North Node in April, Mars will conjunct the North Node as the ruler in May. And what this represents is the closing of the cycle. Is the last square and the last sextile. This is the last bit before the cycle ends. So is what are we freeing ourselves from? What do we need to release in order to let this cycle to end that is preventing us in stepping into this new direction that is already opened, is already there, right? Since the conjunction with Pluto. And it's about this leadership, about self-discovery, it's not about, it's all just about you, don't worry about anybody else, but it's about equality. Like, you matter as well as the other person. What you need matter as well as much as the other person's needs. It's about how can we co-create a world where everybody matters, and it's no hierarchy that someone matters more than someone else because they're richer or prettier or smarter. No, you know, so this is what we see in. So that's why relationships play such an important role, because everything is relational. We are in a you know, Earth is relational. This is how we learn, through relationship with one another. That's why Aries and Libra are in opposition.
Yeah. Wow. Whew. Well, the cards and stars are talking to us today for sure. So
Yeah.
well, let's see. We have one more deck, right? We want to bring in the, I guess, sister deck, the Oracle of Awakening, that is also from Melania Simone. Beautiful. So I can't wait to share this one. So we'll pull just sort of a final message for this new moon in Pisces. See what's coming up. My favorite colors too. I just
And it's got a
love.
triple moon goddess. I love it.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. So let's see what's coming in here. Oracle of Awakening.
Well, Awakening is all about Uranus and Neptune.
This is the card I wanted to show you. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I originally suggested using Whispers of the Ocean because of Pisces and the watery energy. And then we decided to use this for matchy matchy and because it's beautiful as well. And I said to you, I said, there's actually one card in here that's very Pisces and very watery. And here it
Oh, look at
is.
how cute is that innocence.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
beautiful. So it's the card of innocence. It says inner child, play, and nurture. Um, and again, like back to the boot, the things that are washing up and bubbling up to the surface, she's holding a lotus flower in her hand. We see a seashell, and it's again taking us, I get like a lot of inner child vibes from this card and connecting in with our inner child. So all of this Pisces reflection in the past and things coming back up for us, really having this opportunity to sort of sort through all of the treasures that are bubbling up and, whether it's something that you identify that you want to take with you or it's a boot or whatever it is. It's sort of speaking to that energy of these treasures, and these things that are coming up from the depths. But I know because somebody actually had just gotten this card in their reading and this is the one I was picturing when I was telling you about it. Innocence, right? It says, there is a spark of pure innocence deep inside every heart. And the message is, I believe that whatever we have done, whoever we have been, there is an aspect in each of us that is pure innocence. We each have an inner child that lives deep within our hearts. No matter the problems and difficulties, no matter how hard your life has been, how much pain or trauma you carry, your innocence is indestructible. It cannot be tarnished or taken away because your innocence is the beautiful light of your ever-present soul. We can all access this part of ourselves with a true desire to explore and open our heart. The process of recognizing the heart as the source of our purity and then healing and expanding the heart is an incredibly rewarding experience. There's more. We live in a world, all the cards are coming up, by the way. We live in a world that is in dis-ease, and we have been through much trauma as individuals and as a collective, which is why this work is so important. You may be able to go on this healing journey on your own with honest contemplation, journaling, forgiveness, meditation, and other healing work. But do not fear if you don't know the way. There are incredible healers, shamans, and medicine people on the planet at this time who have come into their bodies specifically to help us heal our hearts and access our innocence. Innocence is a superpower. It is a purity, a state of non-judgment. This card is asking you to connect with this aspect of yourself. Give yourself permission to play, have an adventure, be spontaneous, but also be gentle with your expectations of yourself. And finally, the affirmation is, I reclaim my innocence and allow it to lead me to wonder, joy, and love.
Aw, that's so sweet. And to me, like straight away when I looked at that card, I was like, well, that's our human self, and the behind, that's the higher self. Like, don't worry, I'm right
Mm.
behind you. Like that alone. But this is why, like when the cards say that, well, there are people to help you, there are so many people in this world, like, where, like, like Lee Harris, and there are many, many others. Eckhart Tolle, or, there are so many that you listen to and you go, these people, they are like outworthy, like they are not like normal people.
Otherworldly, they've come in,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, and literally, like, I always feel such a gratitude that I'm alive at the time as these other people, and not putting them on pedestal, but having the guidance from people who, know just a little bit more in this incarnation, that they can actually shine the guiding light, like, hey, you can go this way. And again, I'm not trying to project that, go and follow the same people I follow, because, like I say, you go with whatever resonates with you. But in the times we're living in, with all this overstimulation of information of any kind from any possible source, choose the one that, like, make your soul sing, that actually give you the hope and joy and connect with your heart, you know. So that's why, like, when I listen to certain different people, for example, on social media or YouTube or something, and there is this, you just hear the opening sentence, it's doom and gloom, and oh, it's the end of the world, and forget about it. And I'm like, why would I want to listen to this? And I mean, I understand, because these things are addictive, you know. Drama and negativity itself is addictive. This is how we were being conditioned, you know. If the news at the moment was about rainbows and butterflies and puppies being born, people will be, this is boring, because that's how we wired. That's why how we were wired, to actually, you know, not to focus on the positive, because we'll always look for the drama, because it's exciting, it gets your adrenaline revved up. But, you know, do we really need that? Actually, how do you feel afterwards? You know, like, so this is what I mean, like this card. And I mean, it's not even like a consequence so much, but it really is to connect with your innocence, because it's say, if you hear something that actually really make, you know, like, I don't know, like every now and again they show some nice things, like, oh, you know, like these endangered animals, I don't know, panda had just a, you know, little baby in a zoo or something, whatever, and then people, oh, that's cute, look at the little panda, or, you know, look at tiger or something. So yeah, I think we need more of that, you know. We need to more seek resources and people that have that ability, you know, to open that childlike innocence and help us to reconnect with our hearts. So then it's easier for us to do it ourselves. So, you know, this is kind of what came to me with this card.
Wow. I mean, it's like these cards are literally just telling that story to me. And I feel like, just like I know what everything you just said, I totally follow you. And I'm like, yeah. And I feel like I'm having this whole like movie in my head of these cards. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to make sense to anybody else, but everything you were just saying about, you know, whether something is your cup of tea or not, right? So we have this energy of nourishment. And so again, being open to seeing that there's a whole buffet out there that you can choose from, right? There's all of this here. And some of it, you know, is my stuff, and others of it I don't like. I don't like Swiss cheese. I've tried to eat Swiss cheese. I don't care for it, you know. Like there's certain things that just aren't my cup of tea, but I'm not yucking someone else's yum. But I think it's important to say, when I hear doom and gloom, or when I consume something, do I feel nourished? Does that leave me feeling nourished, right? So we have this energy where this card is saying, you know, stripping away all of that and all that noise. You know, we had this guidance here about all the different ways that you can tap into that, and none of them said doom scrolling, endless scrolling. That was not on the list, right? So we got this tower moment, this opportunity this week to feel the difference of, you know, most of us, or you were already there, which is wonderful, to say, what do I do now? And then that left us to, like, when we were kids, finding a way to entertain ourselves, or, you know, using our imaginations and being playful, and you know, filling the time in ways that actually like expanded our minds and our imaginations and all the things. But then we have this energy of, yes, one way that you can get at that is on your own: meditation, reflection, journaling. You know, you can do all of that shadow work for sure. And then also, the whole world is out there where there are shaman and healers and people who may have something to nourish you, to help you along. And so that's, you know, I just see the whole thing playing out in these cards as a story to say, to be open again, as you noted, the body language there in that nourishment card, not pushing back and resisting, or maybe even instantly saying no to something that, have I ever really tried it? Maybe I just didn't understand it, or I've made some presumptions about it, you know, and just assume that it's not for me. And hey, I might taste it and be like, yep, it's true. I still can't eat olives. Like, I can't. They're just nasty. You know, like whatever it is, it's not for me. Right. But I don't know. I just see a sense of being more playful about it, light, you know, light, and bringing in more joy, which is also this card: celebration, joy, you know, celebrating others, and relishing in their successes and their joys, and them, and having this give and take. Like there's just this round table I feel coming up here of opportunities for us to balance our solitude and community, and, you know, and also finding great healing in that, you know, and being able to also be a source perhaps of healing for others, ourselves.
That's beautiful. And that literally is the balancing act of the Libra and Aries. you know, through the self-discovery, through this work that we're doing on ourselves. And it doesn't mean it has to be in isolation. Nobody ever said that that's how it has to be done. That could be an aspect of it, and for some people that's what they prefer, and some people don't prefer that, and it's perfect, because there is everything for everyone. You know, there is plenty of ways you can choose your journey, right? Choose your adventure, literally. This is what we've been mentioning since December. Choose your adventure, whatever tickles your fancy. But this is where this year, the year 8, associated with Saturn, and of course the strength card, and the Leo, you know, your inner child, and also the authority, and having 4 Capricorn lunations, which we kept mentioning, and we will have to keep mentioning them because the last one will be on the last day of the year, you know, so it's going to be present with us. Through us getting to know ourselves, either through your own inner self-discovery or by connecting with the other, whoever the other is, whether it's your therapist or your best friend or your husband or your puppy, it doesn't matter. We are trying to find out who we are, so we can put this Capricorn hat on and say, I know who I am, I know what is right for me. It doesn't mean that I don't want to learn more, but in a core essence, right here, right now, I know myself. So that gives us the center, right? The baseline, you know, something to work with, rather than that person says that, oh, is it true? Is it true? And now I don't know what I know. Now I'm confused, you know, or whatever, you know, like to find the equilibrium. And that then creates these conscious relationships, interdependent relationships, not the codependent relationship where we give our power away, or in order to feel safe, we try to manipulate and be the one in power of the relationship. So what you describe is a different way of like literally saying exactly the same thing, you know, like, yes, it is a movie because it's a movie of you in a concept of world, and it's a movie of human collective consciousness where you play a role. And what we see in right now with the, you know, North Node in Aries and everything that's going on in the sky right now is our liberating ourselves from all the previous outdated old patterns that were seeded very long time ago, where that was what we needed in the shape and form we existed at the time, but now is not the time. We are born in a different time where a different consciousness is being seeded and different measures are required. And the number one thing that is required is for us to step into our authority, become in charge of our life, and connect with people with whom we can create a healthier conscious relationships, which then create a completely different playground for us, because suddenly it won't be this, you did this, or I'm a victim, or you don't understand, or this happened to me, or whatever, which of course, you know, nobody is invalidating any of these experiences, but how long do we want this past to keep recreating our future? So yeah, it's just like, yeah, that's what I mean. We can just go deeper and deeper and re-examine all these layers in multitude of different ways.
I know I'm ready to say like a whole nother thing about the world card from what you just said. I got another take on the nourishment card. Like I could just keep going, but I know like the new moon's gonna be here before we know it. We can't go forever. But yeah, there's so many layers. Oh my gosh, you just like brought so many other things up for me, but I don't know how much more I should go.
And that's why 1 and 1 makes 3, right?
That's right. We just reproduced something new right there. Well, what do we think? I think this was a great start to seeding this energy that we'll be regrouping on talking about eclipse next time.
Oh yeah, this was a good springboard for the eclipse. You know, we already tapped into the relational dynamic. But yeah, you know, everything is relationships. It's even the relationship with our nourishment. It's a relationship.
Yeah, and I guess okay, my 2 final thoughts are nagging at me. So the world, you know, thinking about the traditional world, you are in the center of the world, right? The world is around you. So yes, it all starts with you, but I see how she's holding sort of like a tapestry over her arm. So it is like this patchwork quilt that's made up of all of those relationships and experiences and tastings and things that we have already had, but also that we're being invited to re-experience through this new, the innocence of the inner child and this healing that comes through that you know, some of these things that we may balk at now, could it be that we tasted them through that unhealed filter? And so something that previously wasn't for us, or we don't like, or we don't do, you know, we have this opportunity to re-experience things in a whole new way when we take the best and leave the rest. When we cut those cords to those, the more toxic aspects, you know, give it the boot, right? To out from, you know, something that maybe was influencing our impression of things, that now when we drop into the heart and have this great healing that's available to us, that we can now step back out into the world from this healed place and find out that actually there's things that we didn't realize that we never tried, or that we've tried before that we actually now enjoy, or, you know, anything in between. So it's all making me hungry, actually, thinking about all that.
We're gonna let you go so you can eat something.
Yeah.
But you know, like the tapestry, like the thing that the person holds is actually purple, right? If I can see
Mhm.
right, purple with gold. So the gold represents
Oh
the
yeah, I
golden
was seeing
age,
the
but
dress. Mhm.
also it is purple, and purple is the violet, you know, the sun germ, yeah, it's also that, it's also the crown chakra, but it's also the violet pill, is the Saint Germain,
Mhm.
is that, you know, is the healing, it's the namaste.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really beautiful vibration.
And because the person is like in a mature age, you would
Mhm.
think that there is a lot of self-mastery in that, you know, there is a path that had to be experienced, potentially some mistakes that had to take place in order for the person to get to this point of, you know, knowing themselves and being able to guide others. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny, I had looked at the bottom of the deck at one point, and I know that the Fool is on the bottom. So
Hey.
So, you know, this is representing the full cycle from starting as the Fool, this clean slate, curiosity, adventure, you know, stepping out into the world without a care, and coming all the way through that wheel to the world and ending there in this mature way of having experienced all of that in your Fool's journey. So it's really symbolic of, you know, everything that we've been talking about and stepping into this culmination of this astrological year, and getting ready to start fresh again as the Fool next time we meet.
And that's perfect, because literally we can see that the future is already there. You know, it's at the bottom of the deck. It's hiding, but it's already there. Like it's
Yeah.
already seated, it's already happening. So here is like, you know, our menu of everything that came before, all the experiences, traumas, relationships, you know, gifts, blessings, gratitude, everything. And
Yeah.
now, you know, we just culminate in that because the new cycle is already there at the bottom of the deck.
Yeah. I love it. Wow.
Wow. Oh my God. These things just get more and more mind blowing every week.
I know it is.
Cool. Marisa, tell us what's new. Tell us what you got to offer.
Well, what are we? It's March 6th, right? So I have been working on our March Empowerment Pack. So technically I could still sneak somebody in there if you wanted to join me for the month. But we're getting ready to kick off the new moon readings this weekend over on my Empowerment Sharecast. We're tapping in for a new month. So I've got a new link that'll be shared here for joining me over there, where I do tap in every week and I offer free card pulls. And then I'm going to have an equinox spread that will be available in the next week or so. I'll be preparing. So I have one for both the northern and southern hemisphere. So a choice of a spring or autumn equinox spread is something new I'm going to have this month too.
Awesome. And would it also, well, I mean, it wouldn't include the same reading, but your offering, I know that you also do core cutting, and that's usually something that's quite popular at this time of the year, at the shifts of seasons.
Yes, thank you. I usually do that as a spring cleaning or a fall into winter clean out. So thank you for mentioning that. Yes, cord cuttings, that's all part of my Metatron color healing. So that's even even deeper. We always use cards, but also connect in with a lot of the color energy and Archangel Metatron and more. So yeah, cord cuttings are available too.
Cool. So as everybody can see, even the offerings are multidimensional. You can just scratch the surface with the moon, or you could go really deep if you want to, whatever you're ready for. And yeah, if you want an astrological reading, you know where to find me. Either contact me through social media while it's still alive, of course, or my website while this is still alive. Or then I guess after that, send the pigeon. But I can't tell you where because I don't know
Good
where I'm gonna
signal.
be. But anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you Marisa for excavating time in your schedule to be able to come and join us, and always a pleasure.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
until next time, bye everyone.
Well.